after the children. Hey, young couple, it's like no privacy. Oh, that's a bit. But you see, of course, it's so weird. But if you remember multiple spells, try to understand them from where they are. Okay? Yeah. How did I come to that? Oh, okay. Arrested development transition. So mother should have released him, right? As he got there. But I think a grief and loss is a transition that I think maybe she may never even imagine. I mean, think about your own life. Even your own family, are there transitions that happen?
So, like, based on Xinwei's question, then
Yeah.
the symptoms are coming up in the present,
Yes.
and we recognize that it could be just due to like first order change and that transition was not negotiated.
Yes.
properly. So, by working in the present, we are still acknowledging that there was this transition that happened in the past.
That's right.
So
That's
do that
supposed to happen in the
negotiation
past.
now. Yeah, but we are
Trying to
supporting
generate
it
transition
now.
now.
Ah,
That's right.
because the symptoms are showing up now.
Yes, that's right. And sometimes the symptoms does take a while. But because sometimes people tolerate, right? Okay. So whatever so usually, right, unless the untimely, the unpredictable transitions happen, usually whatever things that hit the family's functioning will come up. If the family had always been flexible in the way they do transition, it will come. Does that make sense? But if the family had always been very rigid in the way they transit, like this one cannot, they don't consider the developmental needs, it will come. So I had a family whereby again it's an adolescent and they came in, four of them, and so I asked all the four members to come and talk to all the four of them. What was interesting, and parents were very exasperated because I think they almost fought. But then what was interesting was son was very hostile. Yeah, of course, doesn't look very good. Although I tried to engage him, he was able to engage me, but he wanted to engage his parents because he was then what was pivotal was father broke down. Father broke down in the session, first time in the session. And he apologized to son for the hurt he's caused his son. And he expressed his helplessness to parent his son. And he expressed his desire to really want to get along with son and parent him and take care of him. Wow, I tell you, the son looked so uncomfortable. But although he looked uncomfortable, right, the whole dynamic shifted. The whole dynamic shifted. And they begin to have connection, his son begin to cooperate. I mean, he still does whatever he wants, or some of the things, but there's more room for negotiation, and now they begin to have conversations. You know, and in the past, usually mom will come in because father trying to help, right? If mother don't come, father may explode. Then mom is afraid, then the two men will fight in the sense. So, but every time she come in, then he's prevented from exploding. Then it doesn't solve the relationship between the father and son. So she stopped coming in. They begin to connect. They even go out fishing together. Like things still better. So I was like, wow, my man also can. Yeah. But so that really brings them to mind is because I think parents were already open, but because of the transition, and that was the eldest child, of the eldest child, they kind of not too sure what to do. They need to draw boundaries and not to hear his needs. And son also was also not wanting to hear what parents say. I think that created a problem. But once the channels opened up, it worked. Well, that's when I felt emotion-focused family therapy. Just for information, EFT, emotion-focused therapy, within it, actually they use structural concepts. That's why commitment and building of intensity comes from structural family therapy. family structure. So what are the invisible rules, set of rules that govern transactions? Okay, this determines the way family members pattern the behavior and interaction. Okay, yeah. It's explicit, but some usually implicit and unspoken. Okay, for example, at a festive gathering in your home, in whatever festive you are celebrating, seasons you are celebrating, think about what are the rules pertaining to that. Do you have rules around who you need to visit first and then second, third, and fourth? That's one. If you have a gathering where everybody has a meal around the table, what are the rules around who should start the meal first? Or what needs to be done to start the meal? Prayers, whatever, greetings, and stuff like that, around who has the authority to talk and speak in the family gathering, who is supposed to just listen. All these are rules. Sometimes spoken, sometimes parallel. Please not, please. These are rules. Especially when we're young, we listen. Yeah, after a while, they want us to talk, then we don't want to talk. Say what? Yeah. So this reflects some underlying family values and belief system. Okay? And cuts across, is over time across generation. And these are sometimes passed out as family scripts. Are you connecting with this? Like, yeah? Okay, like you can see a drama, Taki drama also. Yeah, same thing. Okay. I just finished moving.
Wow.
It's very moving.
Very nice.
I mean, it's superpower, but it's very family, a lot of dynamics about family and protection. Okay, so you can learn family therapy from all these, I actually have a friend working in media corp, then sometimes she will text, hey, you think families like this, will they seek family therapy? How will they seek family therapy? What will you do? So you can contribute. Okay, cultural scripts and societal discourses that are powerful influences. Like sometimes in a patriarchal culture or matriarchal culture, who makes the decision? Right? So all these comes in the way of rules. So what are rules in the family? That's why religion talks about joining the family. When you join, almost the first, I should do him 5-10 minutes. I don't know how he does it 5-10 minutes. I'm not sure. It will take longer. You need to look at how families interact. Who sits where? Sometimes there's a way of sitting. So make sure your seats are there for people to choose. And it's interesting sometimes, right? Children will sit in between parents and say, you ask why. Well, one time I had 5 family members. Five family members. Parents, 2 adult children, and 1 daughter. Okay? So the 5 family parents came in. Wow, the way they walked in the middle of the room was very interesting. So I can remember it was like 15 years back. About 10 years back. They were all straddled in where the queens are. Kind of drama, yeah. And it's interesting. The parents will not look choose this, and then the oldest sibling will sit beside, I think, the father, and then the younger sibling and his spouse will sit on the other side. So it's more like 3:2, and it was really a 3:2 battle. So even without speaking, the way they sit already indicates what's going on in the family. So watch that. You know, so family therapy is very exciting one, you know. Even you're not doing therapy, look at how we see. It's very exciting. You know, the thing I miss most from my work in CCC is home visits. Home visits, okay, now you're not going to roll your eyes and say, I'm serious. Home visits, because I went to CPSC and FSC, right, a long time ago. And it's like, because you see everything there, you know, like, hey, how come on this family, nobody is sitting, only this person, this child talking to me, grandparents there, father there, mother there, the other children doing something else. Like, oh, a stranger comes to the house and only one person meeting the stranger, that's very interesting. Then there are other families whereby some people go into the room and close the door. So what's that about? And then some you don't see the children. What's that about? Then we must set children out. I'm just supervising some people from an FSC using the SSF, so I know what's happening. Yeah. So okay, so look at patterns of our behavioral transactions among family members. Who speaks to who doesn't speak to who interrupts, who speaks first, who speaks second, who last, who is never heard. You know, it's interesting, one of my supervisor's case, right, was interesting in the past. I never forget this because it's so, oh my goodness. You know, this couple come in with the eldest son, and then they were talking about having a better relationship. And it was kind of towards the end of the supervision session. And then my supervisor asked the couple, the teenage son, so should we continue our sessions? Okay, remember the goal was to draw father in the right? Then instead of turning to the husband to ask, so shall we come? The mother turned to the son and said, and had a long discussion about whether they should come, should not come, if they come for what reason. All fathers sit there and was quiet. That's interesting. The language just wake up. So if they had asked me, I'll say you need to come. Because the pattern is still there. It's not helpful. And it's perpetuating a problem because they say father is not participating. But he's not participating because you didn't invite him out. Both ways that. You know? Yeah. And then when she invites him, he hesitant to participate, right? So the whole cycle gets reinforced. Complementary. Okay? So patterns and rules evolve over time. So what are the rules, what are the patterns? It helps to regulate family members' behavior and maintain family equilibrium. Okay, so keep it in mind. So what are the, so think about your family. Who speaks first, who speaks last, who always has the last say, who has the first say, who has never been heard. You know, and I think, okay, Adler, there's a family therapy called Adler Family Therapy. Have you heard of this? Yeah. So in Adler Family Therapy, they talk about sibling position. And miniature doesn't quite talk about that, but I do believe that sibling position does have an impact on sometimes conversations. Like who has more say, who has less say. And whether you're the middle child, last child, first child, you may relate very differently in the family. A lot of youngest child usually are often not heard. And they are very frustrated. Nobody hears me, and everybody's trying to baby me. You know, the oldest child usually takes on some form of responsibility. You don't know why. You know, and then they have to be the first, they are first in everything, right? First to go to school, first to graduate, first to do this, first to do that. So what's that responsibility? And then when it comes to responsibility, people turn to them sometimes. Yeah. And middle child sometimes, you know, it's ignored, you know, because you think like, you want the first to be first, right? Then you want the last to be taken care of. So sometimes the people in the middle are kind of being left out. It's not always the case. It's not always the case, but look out for things like this. And more importantly, look out for how then people interact with one another to create the pattern of the youngest child being ignored, you know, the second child being scapegoated, the oldest child being the most responsible one. Okay. Sorry, does that sound? Oh, is that? What movie? So maybe you shall watch. Oh, Encanto. Oh, yeah. That's right. You all know Encanto? Cartoons, the cartoons is very nice. Oh, I like the song. I like watching movies. Yeah, you good. Sometimes you need to de-stress all the cases. Maybe your own space. Okay, so diet is a fundamental unit of analysis. So the minimum, so for structural family therapy, they say the minimum way of analysis, the minimum number is 2 diet, not a person. Okay? Yeah, so if you talk to one person, you need to talk in terms of the interactional pattern. Okay? So, and then in complementarity, we want to look at how each person mirror opposite the other people in the original complaint. Some example, husband complains wife nags too much. Oh, I give you the example yesterday. Because the lady I met, although I met her in Nigeria yesterday, I had met her and her husband in the previous session. So yesterday she said, I want to put out and help you understand how I didn't enjoy whatever thing you had. But it didn't come out that way. It came out in anger. Okay? It came out, how come you do this? You know? And then the husband attacked. So he got it, he moved that to his side. Well, you go and ask your mother, since when I did this. Then she, no, this. So they begin to fight one another. Complementarity. Okay? So usually it's the opposite. So when one, for example, when mother is very helpful, daughter may be very helpless. Okay? And yesterday's pattern, okay, was that, just not that I said. Or, let me think of an example. Oh, and remember the couple, they came with the son and they were talking about counseling. So mother was talking all the way with the son. And she didn't invite father to talk. So if she's talking so much, why does he need to talk? And I bet you, if I turn to me, my husband will say, no, she said everything, or what else do I need to say? Right? Yeah. So so it's opposites. So when one nags, then one keeps quiet. And then it goes around. It's not one direction. It's both direction. Okay? Yeah, not the opposite one, it's both direction. Yep. So like when one confronts, the other one withdraw in a pattern. Why do you do this? Since when you start learning to lie with me? Can you tell me how come you start lying? I keep asking how do people answer? Then let's say the child answers, well, I like because I only want my friend. So instead of listening, attack again. So if you keep doing that, and the child feels no matter what I say, they're not going to hear me. Then why do I need to tell you? So I shut down. So when you're rebellious, right? Don't say right. How come you're very quiet, right? And the child, you see, that's what I mean. You're so quiet. What do I need to do to get you talking? Can you see? The complementarity. This is what it means. So every time someone says he's rebellious, ask, oh, how does it affect another person? Because there's always an opposite up. He is, what do people say? She's so naggy. Oh, then what happens to the other people? What happens to you when she nags? So you ask the opposite. And then when so he's quiet and then you're nagging. So and then what happens? How did the cycle go? So I continue to nag, right? Oh, so the more you nag, then what happens to you? Quiet. Oh, and then I pull out the cycle. So what I'm hearing is, and this is the easiest implementation in a sense, you just need to pick up the cycle. Okay, the more you nag, the more you keep quiet, the more you nag. Is this what you want in a relationship? Obviously not, then otherwise it won't be here. So this is, so ask the opposite. What else do people say? It's called nag quiet irresponsible. Then how does it impact other people? Then who takes up the responsibility? If somebody is doing a lot, then who is not doing? Right? Or if someone is not doing, then who is doing a lot? And how it impacts the whole family? Am I making sense? So look for the opposite. So don't let them say, you see, don't let the person blame the person where it's actually about interaction that they have set up. Okay? The only thing I want to be careful of in using systemic thinking is if the child is very young, do not put the responsibility on the child or a vulnerable person. Or like an elderly person with dementia, maybe there's really a limitation. So the other person still needs to take responsibility. That's the only thing I would say when I'm using systemic thinking. Am I making sense? Yes.
How about a person with depressive symptoms? Would you consider them as a vulnerable adult or?
It depends on the context. So I will first of all, I will ask about what are the external stresses, what are the transitions, because I also want to assess when did these start happening. That's important, right? And before this breakdown in relationship happens, what was different then? Does it make sense? Yeah. So, but there are situations where they are very depressed. Then I will want to be careful. Like the case I talked about, right? That father who had depression and he cannot stand being in the same room with his own father, the grandfather, who is quite antagonistic in a sense. Yeah, in a sense. No? So and he's traumatized. So and he has depression. I don't want him to be more depressed. So I decided not to encourage them in the same room. And yeah, how does that attend to your question?
Yeah, things really about that.
That's right.
And the threatful of that person.
That's right. Because some people are not depressed. They just feel depressive. There's a difference. Like they said it, what she just couldn't talk, she just gave up. In fact, yesterday she said, I did something interesting. She said, I almost need to be so angry. Then I'll catch his attention. And then he will change. So the last couple of sessions was so bad that I was feeling so helpless. Then I was thinking, okay, let's do an individual session, judging. But she said, usually it's after how angry she expressed that he picked up the seriousness. So it's interesting, how did that pattern even get started? And she when she first came in, she said she was depressive. I did a preliminary assessment. She stressed, a bit stressed, but not depressed. So I know that she's depressed. So it depends. Okay? Good question, folks. Good question. Yes. So what would you say? What would you all say? What would you do? So there's an improvement, but it's no sustain.
Then checking with the couple what attempts they have made.
Nice. Okay. What attempts they have made? What else? I might ask in structural family systems too. You're so clever that you're able to generate positive interaction cycle, and then how come you stop doing that? What happened? You need to explore what happened. Was there some context sexual differences again. Because people don't stop in transition, right? Like I say, we are changing all the time. So what is happening? Or they run out of steam. Or something else happened. Right? So then but for sure we know that it's not because they cannot. But for some reason they falter, which is different. For some really cannot, you must really teach them step by step. Turn to your spouse, look at them in the eyes, and try to see what feeling are they feeling. Then they still get wrong, you know. But some people are like that, and you know, and you just gotta be patient. Yeah, in that case, so I want to find what happened. Also, what are the ideas of change? So I will explore that. I mean, what's your idea of change? Just like that, man. One string line, cannot be what. Yeah, up and down, up and down, up and down. Hopefully, up and that's what I encourage people to do. Sometimes I do stuff like, well, you know, my wife and I, well, we still have conflicts, you know, we're not up all the time, we think what, I'm not God, you know, maybe okay, you don't understand. Oh yeah, really, yeah, I mean, I'm just being real. Right? I mean, of course, I hope my relationship with my wife is always perfect. Where got perfection? This is a very Singaporean thing, especially. Must be 100%. A bit of sleep cannot die, man. I mean, this I keep for myself. Unless I'm very, very strong rapport, you know. Does that help? Yeah, so I will ask them questions, but also will ask them about the ideas of change. And have they talked to one another? And then when ask them to talk to one another, is that what you noticed too? Yeah, okay, can you have a conversation with one another? Then you see what pattern comes up to. Yeah. Because it's not just talking, it's about talking, how to even talk. No, we already talked already, but how do we talk? You know, some spouse, I already talked already, but I get can't already there. I already and they see that phone, then it's very annoying to the others. I can see the other spouse rolling their eyes. You know? Okay, so refers to the reciprocity that is the defining feature of any relationship. And in every relationship, one behavior is roped into the others. Okay, so it's not one person. The child is rebellious. I don't know what we say about children. What else do we say about children? Defiant, well, stubborn. Oh, what encourages stubbornness? You get what I mean? Like me and my daughter, I could have said, no, you have to. Well, she might drag her feet, but am I encouraging her? Am I connecting with her? Am I giving her space to even reflect her own spirituality? You know what I mean? So what do we encourage in fact in the person? So ask them. So when she's stubborn, who does she stubborn? Who else is so she's stubborn, who else is the next stubborn, who else is next stubborn, so I get them to run. Oh, they're all very good. Oh, they're sure very good. So you are the scapegoat. How do you all two manage to get off scot-free? Structural family therapy, we ask them. Because it's a function, you know. Like someone almost have to be the good child, someone have to be the bad child. What's that? Yes.
Just hearing your story about like what you and your child, but that feels like the parents in a vulnerable position also, like
It does.
to be brave, to face vulnerability or
Yes.
something, or acceptance.
Yes.
But I'm just wondering, like for our clients, right? Say they actually go to that phase whereby they are ready to be vulnerable or to be open, but it kind of like creates a conflict within themselves. I mean, would that hinder the work themselves?
It might. So are they ready to talk to the child? So we need to consider that. So if you're not ready to talk to a child, two things are use boundary marking, ask the children to leave, I talk to the two adults. Okay? Cannot discuss. So you see, as you're joining them, parental assistant can discuss what are the ways you're going to interact with the child. That's one. Another way is I keep the children in the room. I ask them to discuss whatever else, or you can get them to be an audience of the parents and get the parents to have a conversation and do not allow the children to interrupt. That's the boundary marking. Okay, so to what extent, what strategies you use depends on where your parents are. If you are not pushed out by the parents, maybe you want to give them some space and ask the children to leave, so you can manage, because if children comes in and then it messes up whatever is a good potential, then I will feel a bit, I should have asked them. That's a good question, yeah. Right. So if one party faces challenges, then how do they pat on the other parent, you see? How do they engage their parent? Instead of engaging, scolding the child or engaging other people to help the child. Does that help? That means a lot about, you hear organizing, restructuring the family based on seemingly simple concepts. Okay? And this one is under family structure. Okay? So complementarity does not mean that people in relationships control each other but they influence one another. Which means that if there's power and control, there's something wrong, and then you need to be very careful. Then I may want to be careful about putting people together. So I will not put a highly conflictual couple, especially with violence, together. Especially when there's power imbalance. You hear that? With power imbalance, you cannot do that. Because the person who is being controlled is likely going to succumb to the person who is controlling. Okay? So that one you cannot use systemic concept. You have to work them separately, although the pattern is there. Okay, triad. So the diet, and then the complementarity, the triad. So triad as a fundamental linear analysis, not the person as a diet. So he moves even beyond the individual, the couple, and he looks into the triangle. The triad, okay? So we are looking at then how conflict between couple draws in the child. For example, husband tries to talk to wife, wife tries to talk to husband, husband is good to her. So the more she talks, the more husband is good, and the husband dismisses her. Okay, let's see. So when the child is born and the husband is out doing whatever, likely is the parent here, the wife, will draw in the daughter. Okay? And try to engage the daughter. The father. I mean, yes, it is actually feeling a lot, I understand. We all understand that. But actually, it's not her true, right? She's actually trying to. And then sometimes they join forces against the father. And it doesn't look like that. This is not accurate representation. Not the picture, remember? In relationships in triad, right? We want to be in an equal, I call this is the next I remember. 60. Okay? We want to be in an equilateral triangle relationship. 60 is 180 now. However, in a triangulation relationship, right, usually it is two persons who draw strengths from one another, who battle against one person who is outside them. Does it make sense? Usually there's a distance between the third person and who or what. That's triangulation. Because instead of, let's say this is father, this is mother, this is daughter. Okay, those behind can see the bottom. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So instead of, if mother has conflict with father, who should she deal with? She should deal with father directly. But of course, sometimes she feels exasperated because my husband is not listening to me. No matter how hard I know, EFT, this is EFT talk. No matter how hard I know, and the door remains shut. And now reflect that, and now say, well, you know, and he doesn't respond. You knock at the wall, at least it will reverberate, but your husband doesn't even respond. So you went on to talk with your daughter to get some service. Okay? I mean, all families have, like when I was, I did 2 assignments for work, right? So, then I learned about triangulation. So, and I was in my early 20s. Okay, so we were individuation, right? So my parents had a conflict, and then they always come to me, your father, and then my mother, then my father, your mother. After a while, I said, okay, thanks. Very calmly. Last time, wow, very angry. I was scold and angry, but that's been triangulated already. I become very calm. I say, actually, this is great, you and also me. No, I'm serious. I said that, and I was quite surprised. I said, I thought you all need to sort it out and talk about it. Okay? Yeah. I respect that. I have problems, but just between. Now I went in my room, didn't bang the door. Close the door, gently. Okay, then the next target was my younger sibling. Then they went to my younger sibling, and then because she saw what I did, right, she copied the same thing. And then they went to my younger sibling. And then my younger sibling saw what we did, right? So she copied the same thing. So in the end, right, then after a while, 3 of us siblings, what happened to parents? They're not around the house. He said, I think they went supper, After a while, we discovered, empty nest, right? They went for supper together. So you see, the boundaries. I was still stunned, 2 of them are amazed by that. So try to apply it to your life. And that's why I'm a firm believer of systems therapy, because it works for me. Yeah. I'm not, so, think about it. So alliance, okay, alliance is when you share something, right? Like siblings, they share interests together, they play soccer together, they fight bullies together. These are all alliances, okay? Coalition is when you join forces, like a diet joining forces against third person, like for example, my elder sibling joining mother to dispute the younger sibling. So number 1, it depends on how old the older sibling is and to what extent is this being talked about. Remember, that's the rule. Okay? And what is mother's position about it? How is it expressed? Yeah. Because there are, sometimes in some families, the siblings are in the 20s, in the family, per case. And then the youngest child is 3 or 5. So the disparity of age, actually, sometimes this might be. There was another very complex family that I used for supervision training, and the social worker actually eventually got 3 older siblings, grade 4, 1918, to take out the 3 and 5. And the older sibling even go to school on mom's behalf because mom has depression, she's a single mother, and there are like also something like 6 or 8 children in the family. They were all from different care arrangement and stuff like that. Okay, so but my take with the supervising was, it's not whether they do it or not, but it's do they understand their role in relation to their mother and what say to the rest of the children about the role of this overture. Okay, to keep that in mind. Okay, and then coalition is kind of joining forces to battle someone, okay, or to do something like parenting. Like when couple parenting, right? Child, you tell the child no, then the child went to the other parent, and then the other parent also need to learn to say no, because they already talked about it in agreement. So the child then cannot play anyone against any person, and then remain as an equilateral triangle and not be triangulated. All right. Triangulation, yeah. So triangulation I mentioned is the detour of conflict. Someone being poked in. Okay. All right. So that's two. Okay, boundaries. Okay, this is the last of the 4 areas of assessment of family function instruction, family therapy. Anyone? Yes. Yes, Keith.
How do you differentiate a coalition from a triangulation? They sound very similar.
They sound very similar.
Yeah.
Okay, triangulation, okay, coalition is where 2 persons actually work together against something. When I say triangulation is you are being pulled in. You don't want to be pulled in. Coalition is I form coalition with you to battle the child, for example. Right? But triangulation is you are stuck into it. You don't like it. Like how my parents, right? Like they, and my father will come to me, hey, I don't like it, but I'm caught.
That's the differentiation.
That's the difference.
Between
Yes.
The third person being put into a relationship.
That's right.
Isn't like a willing participant.
That's right. Isn't a willing participant? They may not be aware, but they're not a willing participant. And they're not happy about it, but they cannot say anything about it. But coalition is we agree to do this, in that sense. That's a slight difference.
The third party.
Yes, to sometimes it's for the good, like parenting, right? The example I gave was parenting, then that's okay, right? Alliance is just a common project that they do together. We play soccer together, and we do things together. And then an alliance of certain things.
But just look at the example, right? Like this one, right? Mother and daughter has this common interest of against husband. Coalition is also the same, right?
Sorry, sir. One more time, repeat what you say.
Like in this picture, right? The husband and the mother, the wife and daughter
Yeah.
create an alliance.
Yeah.
Right? They have an alliance. And then like, but is it against the husband? Is it an alliance or is it just more the action?
Okay, this one would be a triangulation because by right the couple conflict should be sorted out between the couple. But instead of settling between them, they put in the child. Does it make sense? So it's like the daughter is kind of, it's not helpful for her development. It doesn't meet her developmental needs, if you think about it. To be caught in that. Whereas, as parents, to form a coalition, to help to parent a child, that's meeting the developmental needs of the child. Does it make sense? Okay. Can call me Tony. It's your form too. It's a form of respect, I understand. What else? See, like, okay, so you see, like the parents, right, when they join forces together, so they form an alliance, like we want another, okay, we have an alliance. They form a coalition to parent a child, or to meet what? It's always to meet developmental. We are always looking at meeting developmental needs or transition needs of a child. So that's okay, right? Yeah, and that's in a sense healthy. But yeah, but coalition of course can be negative, that I can form and attack someone. Okay, that makes sense. But triangulation is usually negative. It's definitely negative, where the child is being put in against the child's wishes. When both parties want, Okay, so husband, wife will want daughter on her side. Husband will also actually generally want daughter on his side. Okay, is it clearer? Okay, can I move on?
Can I just clarify about
Yes, yes, Daniel.
let's say it's like spouse, because we, am I right to say that, this is the previous slide that spouses subsystem should be stronger than parent-child subsystem, or not necessarily?
Stronger in what sense?
Like which one should come first? That priority.
I think it, okay, hang on. I think it's a dangerous question. It's a good question.
Trick question.
No, no, I think it depends on the developmental needs of the family and the child, right? Because when the child is very, very young, the birth of the first child, both parents are usually, no matter how well informed, they are still a little bit shaky to some extent, you know? So in that situation, generally the parental subsystem need to transit and they need to renegotiate the parental subsystem right, on how to take care of the child. But actually, by right, the spousal subsystem should also be strong enough to withstand the hit from the parental subsystem. Right? Because, for example, I give you my example, okay? When my first child was born, I was like, why keep talking about my child, keep taking care of my child, what about me? That's why I think, how can I think like that? I'm a social worker then. This study train someone. It's so interesting. Yeah, but I caught myself thinking like that. You know? So, but because one, because I'm trained, two, because we had a good enough spousal relationship, right? And I kind of use that as a basis that, well, I think she needs to look at the needs of the child, that's why she needs to take care of the child. But some are not like that, you know. Some, if the spousal subsystem is not strong in the first place, okay, sometimes, some not always, sometimes especially, let's say they were pregnant before they got married, and then, you know, after they shortly got married, they actually have a child. So they actually have very short window of connecting as spouses. In fact, maybe they don't have because of the child, some they get. It's very confusing. What comes first? Is it because I want the relationship, that's why I marry, or is it I want a child for the sake of the child? So it gets very confusing, right? So if I don't have if I cannot stand on a solid ground on, oh, actually my wife loves me and I love my wife, and then I have a child, and then my wife or my whoever the spouse is a man who pays a lot of attention to the child, the other party can feel jealous. And then when they feel jealous, what do? They may throw tantrum, pout, sound, and withdraw. What is withdraw lah? Withdraw. Okay lah. You all want to be so good together, I withdraw. So they either focus on work, focus on hobby, sometimes worse, focus on third party. Yeah, so it's a way of protest. But it's not helpful, it's first order change. It's first order change. They need to go into second order change by why? So I actually talked to my wife, I said, oh, you know, actually how I feel this. You know? Yeah, but she's not social trained, so her answer is not a social trained answer. I can't expect that, right? Yeah, then I have to, you know, figure it out in a sense, you know. Yeah, I mean, good enough, but not social trained answer, you know. So, yeah, does it make sense? So that's what, so your question is, that's why I said be dangerous. But if let's say the children are very grown up, because I've seen families now, children grown up, all exited, then the couple are trying to triangulate the children, like calling the children back, or this and that, instead of spending time one another and rebuilding the relationship. And that's where I think they need to go back to the spousal subsystem to rebuild them, or to consolidate further.
So I have a question. Because I can understand the emptiness part.
Yeah.
But what if the wife has passed on, and the single subsystem, right, calls back their children so that they want to occupy the emptiness?
That's a good one. So then what's happening, you see, so remember there's unpredictable life transitions. So under such life transition, then what in the children understand what is happening to the dad? And what is the dad, how does the, let's say the spouse, the surviving parent, let's call it this, surviving parent, how does the surviving parent manage that? So do we need to talk about it like the mother who wanted the son to keep the door open, right? I mean, she's breathing. How do we do? So maybe a conversation may be important. Right? Be it looking for a partner, looking for a hobby, you know, and also talking about what is possible, what may be more challenging for the children to meet their needs. And then in the process, is grief again. Why stop? We lost this. Lost the assessment result for grief. But not really. You know, life, that's why change and stability, right? Change happens all the time. You know, and then you have to, with change means you grapple with losses. With losses, there's a certain level of grief. And sometimes, like in the situation you bring up, the pain is even harder. And the children may get truncated, right? Because of the surviving parent. And then you will see the children's spouses get triggered. Because of the need of the parent, that is not wrong. You see, needs are not wrong. Okay, so you must keep your needs are not wrong. But it's how you operationalize it, the response to the needs that's wrong. Or reaction, sometimes it's not response. It's the reaction to the needs that's wrong. So the father and son may have a closer relationship, and then son may visit a lot, or the child may visit a lot of the father, and then whereas then the son and the spouse, or the child and the spouse will get into a conflict. Actually, yeah, if you come to think about it, the man who visited the mother every day, actually, the mother was widowed, and he was the only son. Maybe that's all. So he got caught up in the triangle. And then it affected his own family system. So other systems, they get triggered. Exciting, right? Yeah, but I see it because you see, then there's hope. If you can see what's happening, then there's a possibility. Whether they want to do it or not, that's a different thing. It's when I cannot figure out, then I'm more worried. That, what am I missing? So don't always blame yourself when you cannot figure out. Sometimes you don't have you have missing information. A lot of times I realize that. Okay? Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So boundaries defines the amount and kind of contact between family members. So there's clear boundaries. Okay. There's rigid boundaries, and there's diffuse boundaries. Actually, structural family therapy is sometimes going in this way. Clear boundaries, rigid boundary, cannot cross. Can you see? Cannot cross because this is a solid line. Cannot cross. This one can still cross at some places cannot cross, you know. And there's diffuse boundary. A lot of places in between. Anything goes. Like when the mother-in-law said, we need to leave the door open. Wow, that's scary. I mean, I hear also. That's scary. You know, that's invasion of privacy. Everybody's standards. Except us. But again, that's her value because she is hit actually by transition. Maybe she's really not prepared for it. And there's grief and a lot of pain and painful reality of having to be on her own. And in relation to her status, there's a lot of shame. Okay. And maybe she might think it's retribution. So you see, it's how we operate now, you know. We think something, then ask what's happening, what's brewing. I like to think that way. This one, structural family therapy may not think about pain, shame. I don't think they do. They look at what's going on and then they look at agency. my mode of therapy is how it works. Okay? So rigid boundaries, firm and flexible, okay, I said this, inclusion and freedom, individuate, nurture. Rigid is disengagement. They want to almost cut it off. Okay? You expect autonomous and segregated individuals that support. So all these, I want to diffuse is enmesh others. You cannot differentiate where's the boundary. Okay, that's pretty scary. So what I just want to say is this. Okay, in terms of boundaries, right? It is related. Okay, like enmeshment and disengagement. These are all talking about relationships, not individuals. We are looking at relationships, not individual. Okay, to what extent is the relationship enmeshed? Not to what extent is the individual enmeshed? Because I cannot be enmeshed if the person don't, okay, like my parents and I know. They want to triangulate me, right? But if I don't want to let them triangulate, they can't. Right? So, okay, maybe the other person may not be willing to be enmeshed, but for some reason they didn't draw their boundary, so they got enmeshed. Does it make sense? It doesn't mean the person happily got enmeshed. Okay, so it's a relationship, it describes relationship. So enmeshment, so for enmeshment, we're then talking about diffuse boundaries, right? That's why they're enmeshed. There's no love. Whereas disengagement is about rigid boundaries. Wow, cannot cross, yeah. Okay, that's pretty tough. So like I said, so enmeshment and disengagement tends to be reciprocal. Okay, so it's both ways. So disengaged relationships avert conflict by avoiding contact. So you hear a lot of individuals say, I don't want to cut off. There's no such thing as cut off. You can cut off physically, right, and behaviorally, but your emotions are still tied together. Stephen will tell you a lot about it next week. Okay. Then for enmeshed relationships, they are actually avoiding conflict by denying differences. No lah, my son need me, or my daughter need me. I need my mother. But actually, they should learn to be autonomous individuals. So that they can form what spousal type relationship, right? That is equal in power, or almost equal in power. Make sense? Likewise, if you cannot even form a healthy enough, functional enough relationship with whoever it is, how are you going to form a functional enough relationship in a spousal subsystem? And then how is it going to impact the parental subsystem? Am I making sense? Avoiding contact. Yeah, they avoid conflict by avoiding contact. But it's there on. It doesn't work. And worse, they will carry that. Actually, they will carry that. And then it will be brought to the next relationship. Then they'll be so afraid, right? Of people, they want to maintain other disengaged relationships. Okay? So yeah, so there you go. That's the four. That's the 4 areas of assessment, right? So what were the 4 areas? We talked about what? Subsystems, that's right, subsystem. Then we talk about structural. Okay. The family structure, rules, patterns. Okay, rules, patterns, and then triangulation. Then we talk about boundaries. Clear, rigid, diffuse, and then terms like disengagement or enmeshment. which to me is a continuum. There should, basically, you should maintain a clear enough relationship, right? Yeah. Okay. And then family structure, and then the last but not least is the external stresses and developmental transitions. So what's going on with the family? Okay. Any questions? Oh yeah, so let me just finish this. So you can see all these, structural assessment actually really talks about what we have covered, right? Even triangulation. So I know we didn't talk a lot about family origin. Well, that's because also structural family therapy doesn't go very deep into family origin, although they do check out how are individuals affected by the past. Okay, that brings that leads them to bring the past into the current interaction patterns. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so after we have done this structural assessment, this is how we will form our circular systemic foundation.
That's right. Structural therapy. Okay, it will look very different. Vaughan and this one, maybe still a bit of overlap, but post-Miller is going to be very different, narrative too.
But they are under structural systemic.
No, they are under systemic, that's right. You see, what is systemic therapy? Basically, then what we are looking at is the interaction between systems. If we are looking at mutual causality, mutual influence, circular causality, mutual influence. That's what systemic therapy is. Even if I'm working with individual, remember I said, right? If I'm linear, I'm just about the person. But if I'm working systemically, I'm working in a circular manner, I'm talking about the person in relation to other people. How does it affect the relationship with other people and other people's relationship with them? So that's a difference. Yes.
Sorry,
And
you
your
mentioned
name
the
is?
four. Sorry,
Your name is?
I'm June.
June.
So you mentioned 4 areas. Could you mention it again?
Oh, that is on the first slide of the. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, these are the 4 areas. Slide 50.
okay, thanks.
That's your one last question.
Sure.
Under the tips in structural assessment, right?
Yes. Yes.
Slide 9.
Forward 3.
Oh, sorry. It says second order cybernetics. So second order cybernetics, right? It's us involving the family.
Yes.
So are we supposed to include our observations besides assessments, or what is the tip about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So for this, okay, let me then just run because I haven't covered this. Yeah. Sorry. So first of all, in structural assessment, focus on the presenting problem and explore the family members' responses to it. The boy is rebellious. Focus on that. Then start with the boy is rebellious. Who is the factor? How come he got away? Who is most worried? So you can ask all your circular questions. Actually, you can do that. Okay. And then analyze the dyadic and triadic relationships and include the whole family for assessment. So in structural family therapy, they like to bring more people into the session because the lesser it is, the lesser dynamics you see, right? Because they want to see you down in the session. EFT is the same. Although EFT you can work with individuals. And then include other relevant contexts such as all this, the anesthetic change. And then not overlooking possible problems located in individual like learning disabilities. But remember I say, whatever is in the individual, what is more important is how does it impact the interaction, and how does the family adjust itself flexibly to accommodate the changes, to help with the developmental needs of the individual. Okay, so the flexibility of the family is called to question. So second order cybernetics would be, remember second cybernetics means you are a part of the system. You are in it, like if you are the family, I am with you. And I need to take into context the effect of you on me and me on you. Okay? Because how I come in, okay, just as I mentioned, right, if when I was very young, I mean, people like me, this little boy, what he doing, that kind of thing. I didn't have parents who say, you're not even married, what do you know about parenting? So actually, I haven't opened my theories. Then after I got married, I met them. Oh no, you know how it's like the children why you like that? So it's like, why you do this to me? But it's okay, clients. I mean, they have all the ways of. I suppose they are just trying to cope. So it's how they look at me and impact. But now with grey hair, I go in outside, I don't need to say things for people. As if, it's just because I'm lazy to dye my hair. In that sense. So it's how they see me and where I'm coming from, how I carry myself. So that's why, right, Minuchin, you look at, you go and find, okay, he has this clip, he has this whole pre-clip session discussion, whole 1 hour 15 minutes clip, and then post-clip discussion in this YouTube video called Unfolding the Laundry. And by then he's quite old already, he's about 75, 6 or 8. So imagine he come in, of course, and he remembers he's a psychiatrist, he survived the war and all these things, he worked in the slums before, so he's not going to be, he's not going to, it means business lah. So people will listen to him. So second order cybernetics means sometimes just what people pick up. But of course, after they pick up, they look at you and then you don't make sense, then that's another story altogether. So that's one, the effect of you on them, and the effect of them on you. So when you see the family, so for example, if you are young, and then you look at family, all look very wise, and whatever, and then you feel a bit anxious, you don't attend to yourself, that will have an effect on the right? When whatever you put out may not be as confident sounding. Does it make sense? So that's what I mean by second order cybernetics. So we need to take the account of, if things doesn't work, let's think about it. What's happening between us? So I strongly believe Minuchin will take responsibility for things that isn't work, because I think it came out in a bit for ongoing. In terms of during his debrief, I think that's one of his answers. He said if it doesn't work, then we need to ask ourselves what's going on in the interaction between me and the clients. Is there someone in the family who is actually in power that you haven't engaged and joined? And then you try to intervene. And it could be, let's say, the grandmother. Sometimes it's like that. Example. Okay, does that answer the question about second order cybernetics? So please be aware of what you are doing in the session. That's why when I see families who are going through, and be very clear. I'm seeing a family of 4 adults. Mother didn't come in. They came in because mom hoards. Pretty well. Mom hoards 2 properties. No, mom hoards all the 3 properties. It's just that they're able to live in the 3rd property that's livable. Okay, so for father and 3 adult children. Interesting, very interesting. Okay, and I have to be aware of the dynamics. I'll be aware of who I join with at what time and who I engage with. Because there are times where the father actually said, do you all know that I'm actually the father, I don't have to account to you everything. And some of the things he said makes a lot of sense, and that's where I will join him. You know, but sometimes I'll join the children to challenge the father, like, oh, you know, they are actually asking you for your opinion about what we can do in life. Yeah, or sometimes father will say, no, you cannot say things like this about your mom, it's very disrespectful. And I thought, hey, wow, that's good, right? The me strong enough spousal subsystem, because the wife is still in bed. So I then stand on the side of the dad to challenge. So I need to be aware and not be caught by the young people, or because the father's age is quite close to me. So there was, and this is moving beyond scripture, there was one time I reflected how it must be like for him. That the family, that while I hear the family is under a lot of stress, but he probably is the one who faces a lot more stress that he hasn't put on. Because he's picking up everybody's stress and trying to manage. Well, you can see, you cannot see a man in a very how to see tears. You can see his face struggling with emotion. And the children actually caught that. And then they say, wow, we never know, maybe father has a lot of things inside, although he didn't say. Because they think father don't want to answer them. You know, but father said, I'm holding back because I don't want to trouble. And that shifted the relationship. So you set your others up, know who you sat with, and make sure you are a friend of all and enemy of none. So hard, oh, so interesting, you know, you see. I like it. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Okay, what I would like to do is this. Maybe I would like to share a little bit of my case. After, when we come back, right, I will show you the 9 minutes clip, then we try to do this assessment from the kids and see. I don't know whether it works. This is the first time using a clip, okay? See if we can see these 4 aspects from the clip. Alright, I think we should be able to pull up, but let's see. Okay? This is also a pair of sisters. P and S. Oh, sorry, can you see? You take this pillar. That's the only stability that we want this pillar. No, we have the whole, otherwise the whole place will collapse. We hate this pillar. Okay, so 51 came in, that was, okay, I'm talking about 2021. When he came in, I'm still seeing her actually. She's still in the records, but she's still coming in. When she first came in, she wanted to talk about her relationship with sisters, but she was also undergoing a breakup from her boyfriend. Okay, so now she's single. This is at the point of 2021. So 2021, she was 51. She's 56. I don't know what's the brother's age. Interestingly, I never asked. You know? Yeah. So 3 siblings. Okay. Can you see there's a recovering shopaholic? It was so bad that she stole money from her work to buy things. Okay, that was hard. So there was some addiction issues. Brother is in a welfare home. He was an extra addict too, if I'm not wrong. He was an alcoholic before he was in a welfare home. Not functioning very well. Son is a recovering alcoholic, supposedly. Yeah, at this point of time. These three children's father were alcoholic, and you can see this means abuse. You recognize, right? So he abused the mom, abused him, and he had sexually abused her when she was 12. Okay, she never talked about it. Never. I wish she said that she never. And then she came to, and then she, 51, came in wanted to have a better relationship with her sister. she don't know why they're having so many conflicts and why she's so bossy over her. Okay, so that's brothers. But they love one another. So you really can tell it's a love-hate relationship. Are there is this an enmeshed relationship? I don't think so. The reason that I say don't think so because 51 is not very happy and she's quite vocal about it. She said, I want to, I don't know why she's so bossy towards me. I want to get her. That's how they came in. Okay? So, he sexually abused her at 12. She left home, I think 1-2 years later, to stay with relatives, but she came back at the age of 16. Because, you know why? Want to guess why? That's right. She wanted to come back and protect her sister. And then she really was very angry at him for still abusing the mother. I think one time he broke her hand or something like that. So she felt she had to take on and do action for everyone. So 51's recollection is 56 always does things for the whole family. Takes care of everything. So you start thinking which subsystem is she in or has she placed herself? And what are the relationships in that sense? Okay. And a lot of the times the conflicts, right, is around 56, early 51, you shouldn't do this. And she will insist she's right. And of course 51 will be very upset. Because she is 51 now. Fortunately, because there are some 51s also go with life in a sense. Yeah, and she's very independent. I think the good thing is she's very independent. And by 2021, when she came in, I had already worked with her. She came in 2018. I worked with her for about, or even in Karen, I worked with her for 3 weeks. Okay, and she was kind of, and she said, no, I cannot allow her to do this to me because she was getting all confused. 51 was very confused about her relationship. So I want a good relationship or I need a bad relationship. I want to be close to my sister, And at some point in the therapy when we were better, they talked about the wonderful relationship and the very close relationship. Okay, so this is the case that we look at after. So you got to come up with time to know the show. That's a good one. Because I really have to roll time. So I'll give you 5 minutes extra. Okay, so come back by in this room by 2. I'll play the thing by 2. Yeah. When you come back, I'll show you a clip of what we say. Remember, my lab